and the Father are one, a statement so dangerous that the people hearing it tried to execute Jesus immediately, without trial. This isn't about denominational debates or theological gymnastics. This is about what those 7 words meant to the people who heard them first, in their language, in their context, with their understanding of God. By the end, you'll see why this statement wasn't religious philosophy. It was a declaration that demanded a response, and it got one. Jesus stands in Solomon's Colonnade during the Feast of Dedication. Winter sun cuts through the columns. The religious leaders circle him, demanding clarity. How long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly. He answers about his sheep, his voice, his Father's hand. Then he says it, I and the Father are one. The Greek phrase is ego kai ho pater hen esmen, 7 words, present tense, unified being. The leaders don't debate, they don't ask for clarification. Their hands drop to the ground. They pick up stones, the kind used for paving, for building, heavy enough to kill. The question that moment demanded, did we just hear a man claim to be God? They heard correctly. That's why they reached for the stones. For centuries, interpreters have tried to soften this moment. Some frame it as unity of purpose, Jesus and God working together, aligned in mission. Others describe it as moral unity, Jesus perfectly obedient to the Father's will. Both interpretations are comfortable. They preserve a clear distinction between the human Jesus and the divine Father. They allow for partnership without claiming identity. But the people in that courtyard weren't reaching for stones over a statement about cooperation. Right now, billions of people are returning to foundational questions about identity, authority, and what's actually true. Trust in institutional interpretation is at historic lows. People are opening ancient texts themselves, asking, what did this actually say before centuries of commentary? This moment in John 10 is one of those pressure points, where the original claim is so clear that later, softening becomes visible. What Jesus said, what it cost him, and why it mattered to the people who heard it first. The statement appears in John 10:30. The context, Jesus is being pressed to declare whether he's the Messiah. He's already said his works testify about him, that his sheep hear his voice, that no one can snatch them from his Father's hand. Then comes verse 30, I and the Father are one. The people who heard this firsthand, devout Jews who had memorized Torah, who prayed the Shema daily, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, understood immediately what he was claiming. The Greek word for one here is hen, neuter singular, not his, masculine singular, one person, but hen, one essence, one substance, one being. This isn't organizational unity, it's ontological unity, unity of nature. For 2,000 years, readers have tried to reconcile this claim with their understanding of monotheism. Jewish interpreters saw it as blasphemy, a human claiming divine status. Early Christian councils spent centuries hammering out language to hold this in tension with belief in one God. Modern readers often default to metaphor. He meant they were united in purpose, not identical in being. But here's what stops that interpretation, the reaction. In verse 31, immediately after Jesus speaks, the Jewish leaders pick up stones to stone him. In verse 33, they explain why. We are not stoning you for any good work, but for blasphemy, because you, a mere man, claim to be God. They didn't mishear him. They heard exactly what he meant, and they prepared to kill him for it under Levitical law. The linguistic evidence is specific. When Jesus says, I and the Father are one, he uses the neuter hen, not the masculine Heis. In Greek, this matters. Heis would mean one person. Hen means one thing, one essence, one substance. It's the same word used in Greek philosophy to describe ontological unity. The immediate context reinforces this. In verse 29, Jesus says, My Father is greater than all. Then, in verse 30, I and the Father are one. If this were merely unity of purpose, the Jews would have asked for clarification. Instead, they reached for stones. The charge they bring is specific. Blasphemy under Leviticus 24:16, which prescribes stoning for anyone who blasphemes the name. In Jewish law, blasphemy wasn't disagreeing with God. It was claiming to be God. The Sanhedrin understood Jewish law. They didn't stone people for claiming to be a prophet or even the Messiah. They stoned for claiming divine identity. Their reaction is the interpretation. They heard a claim to divine nature and they responded with the legally prescribed penalty. Tell me in the comments, was Jesus claiming identity with God, or was he misunderstood by his audience? And tell me why you think that. Jesus doesn't back down. In verses 34 to 38, he defends the claim by citing Psalm 82, where God calls human judges gods because they represent divine authority. His logic: if Scripture calls humans gods when they exercise divine authority, why do you charge me with blasphemy when I, whom the Father set apart and sent into the world, say, I am God's Son? But what happens next changes everything about how we should read this moment. Here's what the evidence allows us to say. Jesus made a claim about his nature, not just his mission. The Greek grammar, the immediate response, the charge of blasphemy, and his refusal to recant all point in one direction. He was claiming to share the divine nature of the Father. This isn't about trying to count persons in the Godhead or resolve every theological mystery. It's about recognizing what the text records. Jesus claimed unity of being with the one God of Israel, and he died for that claim. 3 days later, according to the gospel accounts, the resurrection vindicated it. The breakthrough isn't a formula, it's a recognition. Either this man was making the most audacious false claim in religious history, or he was revealing something true about God that required a human life to demonstrate. That the infinite, invisible Creator could be truly present in finite, visible form without ceasing to be one God. If Jesus was claiming what the text suggests, not just speaking for God, but speaking as God, then every word he spoke carries different weight. Every command isn't just good teaching from a wise rabbi. Every promise isn't just prophetic hope. You're reading the statements of someone who claimed to be God in the flesh, and then proved it by defeating death. That shifts everything. What you do with that claim, what you do with him, becomes the most important decision you'll ever make. When you read, I am the way, the truth, and the life, you're not reading philosophy. When you read, come to me, all who are weary, you're not reading advice. You're reading the words of someone who claimed to be one with the Father and was willing to die rather than take it back. So here's the question. What do you do with a man who claims to be God? The religious leaders in that courtyard had an answer. They picked up stones. The disciples had a different answer. Thomas said, my Lord and my God. You have to answer too, not with a theological position, but with your life. If this is the first time you're thinking about what Jesus actually claimed, not what centuries of interpretation have made comfortable, tell me in the comments. And if you want to go deeper into what the original Greek and Hebrew reveal about who Jesus claimed to be, hit subscribe, because we're just getting started. The stones in that courtyard never flew. Jesus slipped away. But the claim remained. It remains now, and it's waiting for your answer.